Human circulatory system. The human circulatory system is the body system that transport blood, that transport the blood and oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and waste products. Is mainly a transport system. Circulatory system is what is a transportation system. Transportation system uh, means why we call it as a transportation system means circulatory system. What actually it transports in the body mainly the things like the nutrients, means through the blood. It's okay, it circulate nutrients all over the body. Okay, yes. Next is a new oxygen. It supply oxygen to every cells. Every cells need oxygen, and this circulatory system that supplies the oxygen mainly with the help of RBC. And the third one is it transports hormones. It transports hormones. For example, you can observe the pituitary gland that secretes some hormones that mainly in the head region of the body. But for example, the hormones have to be reach the all body parts. For example, the like growth hormone and or any kind of the hormone that is supplied throughout the body with the help of the blood. So that's why blood is mainly transports the hormones. And it also transports waste products. Waste products. The from every cell means every cell they actually what perform their particular metabolic functions. When they perform metabolic functions, we're going to observe metabolic byproducts. Byproducts they are thus produced. Okay, and thus produced byproducts they has to be eliminated from the body, means the byproducts or the waste product have to remove. How they remove means, and it is circulated in the blood and reaches the detoxifying organs. Okay, so that's why the blood also what transport the waste material to the respective organs to eliminate. Okay, now the circulatory system mainly consists of three major parts. One is the heart, and second one is the arteries and vein system, and the third one is the blood. Three main components of the yes. Now we're going to study in deeply. Okay, each bit by bit. Yes, the circulatory system. Uh, In the last only I will show the diagrams. Okay, now I going to explain by writing in detail. The first, we are all know about that, the circulatory system. When we take circulatory system, it consists of three main components. Which are these three components means? The first one is heart, and the second one is the blood, and the third one is the arteries and the veins. The third one is the together what we call blood vessels. These are the three main components of the circulatory system. Let's discuss one by one. I'm not going to explain in detail. For exam point of view, I will explain as a short notes. Okay. So for that, the first we're going to observe the heart. Now, what is the heart? What is heart? Heart is a muscular organ, okay, muscular organ which perform the pumping function. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ help ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? This pumping function mainly helps in receiving and it supplies blood outside the body and receive blood from the body. Okay, highly muscular organ which actually what pumps. The pumping mechanism helps in means it helps to receive the blood from the body, and in the same way the when the pumping action is proceeding, the when it contracted, the blood will flows out of the heart to supply the body. Okay, so heart going to absorb how many chambers of heart? Heart is consists of 4 chambers. The first 2 chambers are called auricles and the lower 2 chambers are called ventricles. In the auricles there are 2 types. One is a right auricle, the another one is a left auricle. In the same way, ventricle also right ventricle and the left ventricle. Okay, this is about the chambers of heart. Now we're going to observe what the septums in heart. Septum nothing but these are the wall-like structures present between 2 chambers. Okay, so thereby we're going to observe there is a separate compartments like left auricle, right auricle, left ventricle and right ventricle. Okay, this is a septum is a wall-like structure and it is a muscular wall-like structure. Majorly we're going to observe the septum, the present between the right auricle and the left auricle. Okay, the Yes, the septum we're going to observe here, and this septum is called interauricular septum. Interauricular septum. Okay, the another septum that is present between the auricle and the ventricle, and this septum is called auriculoventricular septum. Auriculoventricular septum. Okay, the another yes, another septum we're going to observe that is present between, okay, present between the ventricles, the two ventricles. This is called interventricular septum. This is interventricular septum. We can observe here there are totally three between the between the auricles, two auricles. So this septum thus divides auricle into right auricle and left auricle. In the same way, there is another septum. This is a second septum. So completely this one. Okay. So this is auriculoventricular septum. Means this is a septum or this is a wall which is present between the auricles and the ventricles. Thus, we're going to observe the auricle and ventricles. They are as a separate compartments. Okay. In the third one, the third septum is that, and this one, that is interventricular septum. This septum is a wall. There's a muscular wall-like structure that present between the two ventricular structures. Thus, the ventricle get separated as a two chambers. One is as a right auricle and the left, sorry, right ventricle and the right ventricle, left and right ventricles. Okay, these are about the chambers. Now, we're going to observe about, yes, in detail class about the heart I will explain in the next class, but in today just we're going to observe what total circulatory system for short notes. So this is enough to study, but here we should observe the two main important structures. The right side of the heart that receives carbon dioxide rich blood. Okay, and how the carbon dioxide rich blood that is comes to the heart means the the right auricle through the veins like superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, the CO2 blood that is what from the all parts of the body, that is what supplies to the right auricle. Okay, next, after that we're going to observe what there is a yes, before going to explain this, yes, we must understand about another concept means that is the valves present in the heart. Okay, the valves, the third one is the valves of the heart. Valves in the heart we're going to observe. Here we're going to observe four different valves. One is the tricuspid valve. First one is what? tricuspid valve. Tricuspid valve located between the right atrium and the right atrium and the right ventricle. It is present between right atrium and the right ventricle. This is a tricuspid valve, means three flap-like structure or membranous structures we're going to observe. Here is a opening. Okay, so this opening means what? Between right auricle and right ventricle, there is a opening. This opening is guarded by the valve, that's a tricuspid valve. What actually is performed means it prevents the backflow of the blood. When CO2 blood reaches the right auricle, and it has to be what? Downfall to the right ventricle. After, when the blood reaches the right ventricle, but the blood uh, should not come back to the right auricle again. So that's why here we're going to observe this valve that prevents the backflow of the blood. Okay, the next one is the mitral valve. Second one is the mitral valve. Mitral valve are the also called as bicuspid valve, which is present between the left auricle and the left ventricle. Okay, so you can understand here. Here also, left auricle and the left ventricle, there is a opening. Okay, there is a opening through which blood flows from auricle to ventricle of the left side. So when it flows, and this opening is also guarded by two flap-like structures, and these valves are called mitral valve or the bicuspid valves. Okay, the next is the pulmonary valve. Next is the pulmonary valve. The pulmonary valve situated between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. Okay, so this is a right ventricle. Let me highlight this. Yes, this is the what? Left, sorry, right ventricle, and from here what it arises the pulmonary arteries. Pulmonary arteries. And here is also opening, and this opening is guarded by the valve is called pulmonary valves. The pulmonary valve present between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. Okay, the next one is the fourth one is aortic valve. Next one is a aortic valve. The aortic valve is positioned between. So you can observe here. Let me highlight with another color. Let me take black color. Yes. This is the left ventricle, and from this we're going to observe the systemic arch arises. You already know that. Okay, the systemic arch arises. And here also, this is what? The left ventricle, and this is a systemic arch. Here is a opening. Okay, so here blood from this, it reaches like this. Okay, and this opening is guarded by a flap-like structure that is called aortic valve. Okay, aortic valve present between left ventricle and the systemic arch. And the systemic arch, or you can simply call it as a aorta. And another so So these what pulmonary valve and the aortic arch together we can call it as a the semi-lunar valves. Semi-lunar valves means half moon shaped structures. Half moon shaped. Is it clear? Okay. Means till now we observed that the heart structure, what we studied that the heart consists of chambers. The heart consists of what? Chambers. The first one is how many chambers? There are 4 chambers. And we studied that. What we studied? Yes, septum and valves. Septum and valves. These total structure we studied. Okay. Now we're going to observe the main vein and the arteries. The main vein and the arteries. Yes. Let me take a link from the first point. Yes, that yes, and we completed heart. Heart is what pumping organ, which yes, mainly having the parts like the chambers. The first one is chambers, and the second one is the septum. Third one is the valves. These are the main structure for we studied for heart. Now we're going to study the blood vessels. The blood vessels. Yes. Blood vessels. Blood vessels in the blood vessels, we're going to observe there are 3 types. Meantime, you also make the notes how I'm actually here constructing. Okay. The first one is the blood vessels. The first one is arteries, and the second one is veins. Second one, and the third one is capillaries. The yes, last one is the capillaries. The now let us discuss the capillaries. Sorry, first arteries. Arteries. Arteries, they carry blood away from the heart. You must understand this. The main difference between arteries and vein is that arteries means they carry blood away from the heart. Okay? They carry yes, I'm highlighting this away from the heart. Means These are the vessels which takes out the blood from the heart. Okay, they carry blood away from the artery. Usually, these carry oxygen rich blood. Oxygen rich blood, and arteries, they supply. Here we are going to observe two types of arteries. One is pulmonary artery, other one is a systemic or the dorsal aorta. Okay, pulmonary artery, this is an exception case which carries CO2 blood. CO2 blood. This pulmonary artery which arises from the right ventricle, and it supplies blood to the lungs. Supply blood to the lung. Hence, it carries CO2 blood, and this is an exception case. Okay, but aorta is a one such a largest artery which carry O2 blood and supply all parts of the all parts of the body. Okay, you must understand these differences. Even both are arteries, but the pulmonary artery and the aorta, they perform different functions. The pulmonary artery is an exception case. Why I mentioned, because and this will going to carry CO2 blood. But in the earlier we mentioned here, mostly not all the, but this is a mostly all arteries, mostly some of majority of the arteries, they carry what? O2 blood, but this is actually carrying the CO2 blood. But aorta, as usual, it arises from, yes, and this pulmonary artery arises from right ventricle. In the same way, aorta arises from left ventricle. Okay, this is, yes, aorta is the key point we have to remember. Largest artery in the body. You remember this. Better to remember this one. Okay. The next one, the second one is the veins. Okay, veins. Veins, they carry, they brings the blood to the heart. They actually not carry. Yes, of course there's carrying, but it's better to use the word. Yes. The veins which brings blood to heart. And these are veins, you just remember terms like welcome. Why I'm mentioning welcome means what? Here, when a guest appears to your door, then you will say welcome. Okay, so like that, heart welcomes the blood. Like that, veins means they bring blood to the heart. They bring blood to the heart. So here, one is the vena cava one, and the second one is pulmonary vein. Two cases we're going to discuss. In the two cases, you just observe there is a difference. Vena cava. Another point we have to add here, veins which carry or yes, CO2, usually CO2 blood. Is it clear? Here what we're going to observe, These are O2 blood. In the vena cava cases, and these are the veins which brings CO2 blood from all parts of body, to, that's a right auricle. Okay, this is a one case. But you just observe here, in the case of pulmonary veins, these are the exception case here, like that pulmonary artery. These veins, they carry O2 blood. O2 blood means these veins which bring O2 blood, from lungs, to left ventricle. You must remember, even though these are veins, they performing what different functions. They carrying what? O2 and CO2 blood. For the final conclusion, I will conclude that we should not say that all the arteries they carry O2 blood, all the veins they carry CO2 blood, because in biology we're going to observe so many such what exception cases. Clear? Yes. Now we're going to observe another important, the third part of the blood vessel, that is the capillaries. Capillaries are nothing but these are the small net network of the blood vessels. Capillary network. You usually refer this term as a capillary network. So here, small blood vessel, tiny, very tiny and thin. They are naturally very tiny and thin in nature. There appears to be very tiny and thin. With we can observe the, yes, and these actually connect the arteries and veins. Arteries and veins. Okay. So this connection, what actually it makes means it allows the exchange of gases. Exchange of gases like CO2 and O2 exchange. Better example we're going to observe in case of lungs. In the case of lungs, we're going to observe between the alveoli capillaries and the main blood vessels. Where O2 CO2 get exchanged. We're going to observe this. Okay. In the same way, it helps in supply the nutrition. Nutrition means the nutrient supply. Okay. It also helps in what? Exchange of the waste between the blood and the body cells. For example, you can observe this is a cell. Okay, this is a nucleus, and here we're going to observe every cell, they perform their own metabolic function, metabolic activity, maybe catabolism or the anabolism. As a result of this activity, we're going to observe the byproduct byproduct we're going to that is produced. The byproduct may be harmful, that consider as a waste, and this waste or the byproduct has to be what? Has to be eliminate. Eliminate. Okay. Here the blood capillaries, okay, which are in contact with the cells, they will what? Here O2 and CO2, like that. There is a exchange mechanism between these, the cell plus the blood. Okay, and the capillaries perform the very vital function. Yes, and the third part, by this we completed what? Yes, let me come here. Yes, we first no. Yes, we completed the first one is the heart, and we completed the blood vessels. Blood vessels means how many types you're going to observe. There are three types of blood vessels. One is arteries and the veins and the capillaries. Okay, now let me discuss the blood. Blood is a fluid tissue. Blood is a fluid tissue. Blood is a fluid tissue. It consists of uh, two parts. It contains two parts. One is cellular part, other one is non-cellular part. You can take this for your reference. One is the cellular part means it consists of cells. Here no cells. This is a basic meaning. Cells means in the blood we are going to observe three different types of cells. Three types of cells. The first one is RBC, and second one is WBC, and the last one is platelets. Okay, and the non-cellular part consists of what? The plasma, which is mainly responsible for the fluidity of the blood. Okay, the first one is the RBC. The first one is the RBC. Yes, sir. RBC, don't call it as RCB. I know here most of people there are RCB fans. I know, and this is RBC, that is a red blood corpuscle. Red blood cells are corpuscles. The RBCs, they appears to be red in color. Red in color, mainly this color because of the hemoglobin. Okay, is hemoglobin is a respiratory pigment in the blood. The RBC is biconcave in shape. Biconcave in shape. Yes, RBC is a biconcave in shape, and this is actually disc-like structure. Is a disc-like structure. In humans, there is no nucleus. If you consider this is a biconcave RBC, there is no nucleus inside. No nucleus. We observe here. No nucleus. And there are small relatively small when we compared with the smaller than the WBCs. Okay. Uh, Next, in in case of men, about approximately 4.7 to 6.1 million cells per million cells. Wait a minute. This is the range of the RBC. This is the range of RBC in men, that is 4.7 to 6.1 million cells per microliter. Okay. In the same way, in case of women, about or approximately, I'll take approximately 4.2 to 5.4 million cells per microliter. Okay. And this is a what? This is a range of RBC. Now, what is the lifespan of the RBC? The RBC lifespan is about 120 days. 120 days is the lifespan of RBCs. Lifespan of the RBCs. And now the question arises, after the 120 days, what happens to the RBCs? After the 120 days, the RBCs will destroyed mainly in the organ called spleen. Hence the spleen is called graveyard of RBC. Okay, where in the spleen means in the spleen RBCs get break down. Okay, means what? Destroyed. Hence it is called what? The graveyard of the RBCs. That's a spleen. Okay. And the blood, mainly RBC related conditions we're going to observe. There are, one is anemia, where we're going to observe low RBC count. We observe low RBC count or low HB count. Sometime we refer this. The condition is anemia. And the second one is polycythemia. The second one is what? Polycythemia. And in this condition, we're going to observe the opposite to the anemia condition. We're going to observe high RBC. We're going to observe what? Yes, let me highlight this. This is opposite to what? Anemia. So that's why RBC count we're going to observe high. Means above the normal level. So the condition is called polycythemia. Okay, this is about the yes, regarding the RBC. Okay, next we're going to discuss the WBC. Yes. WBC. WBC, as the name itself indicating that the expansion of this WBC is white blood cells or the white blood corpuscles. Okay, we most of the time we refer this WBCs as the leukocytes. Leuco means colorless. Colorless. I forgot to mention that RBC they call it as erythrocyte, means because of erythro means that is a red colored. Okay, here leuco means they are what colorless cells, and these are not take part in the transportation of oxygen or the nutrients or the waste. These are actually not meant for the transportation. You just remember, not meant for transportation. Okay, and but these mainly involved in body defense system. Body defense system. They protect the body. Defense system means they protect the body from the protect body from maybe infections or diseases. They protect the body from infections and the diseases. Now come to yes, structure of RBC. Let me take another color pen. Yes, and this is the about structure of WBC. These cells in size they are larger than RBC. When we compare both RBC and WBC, here WBCs are the larger than the WBCs are the larger than the RBCs. Okay. The second point, they have nucleus. In case of RBC, in case of human, what we studied that, just recall that point. RBC they lack the what nucleus. Okay, the completely what volume is we're going to observe is filled with the hemoglobin. But here the WBCs they show nucleus. The nucleus mainly we're going to observe polymorphic nucleus condition. Polymorphic means in many shapes. Many shapes. For example, dumbbell shape we're going to observe. Typically, S shape we're going to observe, and completely the large nucleus we're going to observe. There are different size and shape of the nucleus we're going to observe in case of WBCs. Hence, that is called polymorphic condition. We can remember this here. Okay, next, and sometime leukocyte I already mentioned here. Why they are colorless means because they actually doesn't have the hemoglobin. Okay, and the main property of this, yes, here we're going to observe what the other cell organelles also we're going to observe, like lysosomes or the peroxisomes, like other organelles we're going to observe in the cytoplasm of the WBCs. We're going to observe what other cell organelles like peroxisomes, lysosomes, like that, and the Golgi complex, like that. We're going to observe so many things, and they can change the shape when they move freely. Here, the main property, the two properties. One is they move freely, and plus they can change their shape. change their shape. You can observe in the condition of diapedesis. Diapedesis. DESIS. Okay. In the diapedesis, you can observe that this is a process by which white blood cells squeezes through the walls of the blood vessels to reach the site of infection. Means when they going to cross that the wall of the blood capillaries or the blood vessels, they squeezes through the that blood vessel. When they're going to squeezes themselves, they change their actual shape. If we consider in the earlier before they are crossing the blood capillaries, they may be circular or oval shape. Circular or oval shape. Okay, circular or oval shape. Okay, and this is a site of infection. Site of infection. And this is a blood capillary. Okay, the squeezes themselves. The squeezes themselves. This is a capillary. Yes. When the squeezes themselves to reach the site of infection across, and they passes or the yes, they escape this barrier, that's a capillary. By this process, when they're going to squeeze themselves, they change their shape. Okay. Yes. Now let me explain. Yes. Next, types of WBCs. The WBCs we classified granulocytes and agranulocyte. They classified as a granulocyte The WBCs are classified basically into two types. One is the granulocyte, another one is the agranulocyte. And the granulocytes means in the cytoplasm, we're going to observe uh, the granule-like structures. They are visible like a sand grains in the cytoplasm of the WBC. They are classified as the granulocyte. And such granulocytes are, the first one is neutrophils, neutrophils, eosinophils, and the basophils, There are three types of granulocytes. One is the neutrophil, eosinophil, and the basophil. Next is agranulocytes. Agranulocytes are of the types of WBCs. When we're going to observe in the under the microscope, we can't observe such the grain-like structure or the sand grain-like structures in the mm, what the cytoplasm of the RBC. And such RBCs with devoid of granular structure in their the cytoplasm, they are considered as a agranulocyte. Agranulocytes, they are, let me note here, one is the lymphocyte, lymphocyte, the second one is a monocyte, and the last one is, okay, two types, lymphocytes and monocytes. There are five different what we're going to observe the types of five different types of the WBCs. Okay, I'm not going to explain in detail about all these things. In the next class, I will explain in detail about all these things. Okay, okay. Let me note the functions of these granulocytes and agranulocytes. Let me erase this. Yes. Yes, the functions of the granulocytes. Before going to that, I will tell, I'm going to tell that the neutrophils and the eosinophils and the basophils, they are classified based on their nature. The basophils are basic in nature, these are acidic and these are neutral. Okay, yes. Now come to the functions. The major function of the granulocyte is they show immediate immune response. Immediate immune response. They show immediate immune response. And they destroy the pathogens. Mainly they're responsible to destroy the pathogens. And they involved in inflammation. They involved in inflammation process. Inflammation process. Okay, these are the three main functions of the granulocyte, and some of the functions I left here because as it is a short note class, I think this is enough. So that's why I just left that. And now come to the functions. Let me take another color. Yes. The functions of the agranulocytes. Agranulocyte functions are, one is they show long-term immune defense system. They involved in long-term immune defense system. Immune defense system. Long-term immune defense system. They produce antibodies. These are mainly responsible to produce antibodies. And they clean up the damaged tissues. They clean up damaged tissues. They actually what? Clean up. So hence they are called scavengers. The scavengers. Okay, this is about the blood cells. Okay, yes. Let me go back to this slide. Yes, here. Yes. Let us recall what we have finished till now, and is there any remaining thing to finish? Okay, the first one, circulatory system. It consists of three main components, and we discussed heart. In the heart, what we discussed, the chambers and the septum and the valves, all these things. In the blood, we discussed the blood cells. Okay, I left the plasma. Okay, I will explain. Before going to that, the blood vessels. In the blood vessels also we discussed arteries, veins, and the capillaries. Okay, now uh, plasma. Let me note information about the plasma. Yes. Let me take another color. Yes. The plasma. The blood plasma is a what? The yellowish liquid part of the blood, which is mainly responsible for the fluidity of the blood. Because of this plasma only, blood will flows easily in through the blood vessels. Okay, and the blood plasma is when we're going to observe in the blood plasma, the blood cells, they are suspended. Blood cells means what? The RBC, WBCs, and the platelets, they are suspended. About it makes 55% of total blood volume. 55% of the total blood volume is mainly because of by the plasma. uh, in the main components, we're going to observe here the 92. Let me take another slide. Yes, the blood plasma. As we discussed, this is a yellowish colored fluid, yellow liquid. And in this blood plasma, the blood cells are suspended in plasma. The blood cells means the RBC, WBC, and platelets. Platelets I have to explain. After the plasma, I will explain the blood cell, the platelets. Okay. Yes. And the plasma, which actually constitute the 55% of total blood volume. Total blood volume. The main components of the blood plasma. It consists of 90 to 92% of water and other components like the protein, the albumin we're going to absorb in the plasma, and globulin protein also we're going to absorb in plasma, and the fibrinogen. fibrinogen. This is a inactive form. This is a in inactive form. It get activated and it mainly takes part in the blood clotting system. Mainly helps in blood clot. Okay, and the nutrients are also we're going to absorb in the plasma. The nutrients like the glucose, amino acids, and the vitamins And not only that, the plasma also consists of salts and electrolytes. For example, sodium ions. So, what happened to this? Che, where did all thing gone? Oh, here it's okay. Let me take a eraser first. Yes, sodium ions, potassium ions, and the chloride ions. Sodium, potassium, and chloride ions we're going to absorb. And in the plasma, the hormones also present, and the waste products like the urea and the carbon dioxide, because and the urea it has to be what transport to the kidney, and the CO2 it has to be transport to the CO2, and the transport is none other than the blood. Hence the in the blood plasma we're going to observe the urea and the CO2 also. Next, the functions of the plasma. Yes. Here I'm going to list out the uh, functions of the plasma. The main functions of the plasma are these plasma are mainly helps in what transportation of nutrients, transportation of what nutrient, and the transportation of hormones. We already discussed all these things, and they carry waste products to the kidney. That's the urea, transportation of urea to kidney, and transportation of CO2 to the lungs, means the first to the heart. Okay, and this plasma helps to maintain the blood pressure, helps to maintain the blood pressure. That's nothing but, yes, the BP. Okay, yes, and the plasma also maintains the body temperature. Body temperature, and it helps in clotting. Yes, because of the fibrinogen IRL, yes, mentioned here, no? We just recall this point that fibrinogen, when they are in the plasma, they are in active state, there is a cascade system. Means the so many enzymes, they involved in clotting system. We're going to observe a number of clotting factors here. After all of that, the fibrinogen that get converted into fibrin, the fibrin that's a form a thread-like structure which helps in blood clotting. Hence, the plasma helps in what? Blood clotting system. Okay, all these are the functions of the plasma. Okay, and remaining one cell, I left that. Let me explain that. That is the, yes, that is the platelet. The another blood cell, that is the platelets. The platelets. Platelets are the small colorless blood cells. They are actually, they are not true cells. They are not true cells. They are the fragments of the fragment of main cell. That's the main cell is a megakaryocyte. Megakaryocyte. This is actually the mother cell. You can consider this as a mother cell of platelets. Yes, this is a mother cell of the platelets. Yes, this is a mother cell of the plate cells, and this mother cell of the platelet, they break down into small pieces, and the fragments are nothing but we call them as the platelets. Okay, the platelets mainly they involved in a blood clotting system. Blood. Okay. Eraser. They involved in blood clotting system. Okay, they by this way they prevent the excessive bleeding. Now let me come to the structure of the platelets. The structure of platelets, these are irregular in shape. Irregular in shape. Why? Because the megakaryocyte that will break down into, if we consider this is a megakaryocyte, that is break down into small pieces. The pieces they do not actually have particular shape. So that's why they actually consider they are in irregular in shape, and they are very teeny in size. Teeny in size, or very small in size. Yes, they mainly they are formed in bone marrow. Bone marrow means the megakaryocyte, and this is the mother of the platelet that is originated from the bone marrow. The bone marrow. Now, the another let me list another important feature of these cells, and these cells are sticky in nature. These are sticky in nature. As a result, they can, if you consider this is a blood vessel, and at the wounded site, at the wounded or damaged site, this is a damaged site, and they will, as they, because of the sticky nature, they will form a network. They will form a network of the cells. So it helps in what? Formation of clot plug. Clot plaque, and this will going to form as the barrier for the rest of the blood. Okay. Okay. And now come to the major functions of these platelets. Functions. The functions, as usual, we already discussed that platelets, they helps in what? Blood clotting system, and they prevent the blood loss during the injury. They prevent blood loss when? Loss during injury. During the injury. And they release chemicals needed for the, yes, clotting. And these are mainly, they play a vital role in the releases some important chemicals which are mainly clotting necessary for clotting. Okay. They helps in wound healing. And these are the major functions of the what? The platelets. Okay. So till now we discussed what the in the circulatory system. We discussed the heart and the parts of the heart and the vessels, the types of the blood vessels, and the blood. In the blood there is a plasma, platelets, RBC, WBC, everything was discussed. But there is another important segment we have to understand about the human circulatory system, and that is the human circulatory system is yes, in the evolutionary trend, when you're going to observe, when you're going to take example that in the fishes we can't observe that double circulation, and there means in the fishes we're going to observe what? The single circulation in fishes. But in case of what? The amphibians and the reptiles means except the crocodiles, leaving the crocodiles, in all remaining reptiles and amphibians together, they show mixed circulation but not complete double circulation. But from the crocodiles, yeah, even though they belongs to reptiles, the crocodiles, they show complete four chambered heart. Hence, at that point, we're going to observe from then we're going to observe what? Complete double circulation. The double circulation we observed in crocodiles, and in the next class of vertebrata, that is aves, and in the mammals we're going to observe complete double circulation. As in today's class we are discussing about the human circulatory system. Human also belongs to the the class mammalia, order primata. Here also we're going to observe double circulation. Let me explain what is double circulation. Double circulation means the blood flows through the heart two times. Means two circulations are the two cycles we're going to observe in circulatory system. Hence this is called double circulation. How are we going to observe this or explain understand this means where okay, yes, we need everything. Double circulation. What is double circulation? Do you have any idea about the double circulation? The double circulation is an advanced circulatory system in what? Vertebrates. The double circulation in humans. In humans, we're going to observe double circulation. What is double circulation? Means the blood flows through the heart, through the heart 2 times. Means 2 times means 2 cycles we're going to observe here, and the 2 cycles are the 2 circles. We can circles. One is, yes, 2 circulation. Circle is not a suitable word. We can circulation. Okay, 2 circulations. Circulation. 2 circulations. The 2 circulation means one is the first circulation we're going to observe, that's a pulmonary circulation. Innondu, the second one is the uh, systemic circulation. How are we going to understand these 2 circulations in the body? Means what we're going to observe. You can consider that another slide. Let me take another slide. Okay, if you consider this is a heart, this is a heart, and this is a lungs, and this is a body. Okay, the scientific term we use in the circulation for lungs is we use the term pulmo, and for the body we use system. Just remember this one, the pulmo and the system. Pulmo refers to lungs and the system refers to body. Heart is heart, there's a cardiac. Next, double circulation. How can we understand this? Means you already know about that. In the body, we're going to observe in the system. The body is, of course, is made up of the cells. All body parts from every cells, metabolic activity or anabolism or catabolism. I already explained that. Because of this are so many reactions taking place inside the body. As a result, byproducts, some waste products are, and the CO2 like urea, the other harmful chemicals, they are produced in the body, and that all the waste product that, for example, for our understanding concern, we going to observe only CO2. We can understand that, yes, from the body, CO2 blood, CO2 rich blood, that what enters the heart through the vena cava. That's a veins. Through the veins, mainly through the, right auricle, that enters the right auricle. Okay, this is what the we observed the CO2 blood. Now heart will going to supply this CO2 blood, the same CO2 blood, to the lungs for what? Removal of carbon dioxide, that is for oxygenation process. Heart will supply the CO2 blood to the lungs for the process goskara, for the process of oxygenation, for oxygenation. Okay, how it actually sends means heart will send the CO2 rich blood to the lungs through which pathway? You already know that, that's a pulmonary artery. Through the pulmonary artery. Okay, after that, when the CO2 blood along with the pulmonary artery that reaches the lungs, where the gaseous exchange takes place, means the CO2 is exhaled out, and when oxygen is taken in, there is a gaseous exchange between the capillaries and the um, the capillaries and the alveoli. And this process is called the blood get CO2. Okay, blood get oxygen. The blood now is get the oxygen in the lungs. The process is called oxygenation process. Now this O2 rich blood, O2 rich blood, oxyhemoglobin condition. You can remember HB condition is here. This oxyhemoglobin condition. This oxygen rich blood enters the heart through the root. Which root? Just recall that. That's a pulmonary veins. Okay. Now the O2 blood reached the left ventricle. From the left ventricle through the aorta, through the aorta, through the aorta, systemic arch. You can take that's a systemic arch, that is left turned systemic arch. We're going to observe in case of what humans. Aorta, the O2 rich blood supplies to the all parts of the body, that is a system. We can observe here the two circles we're going to observe. One is the blood circulates between the lungs and the heart. This circle, okay, the circulation is called pulmonary because the circulation mainly between the heart and lungs. Here lungs refers to pulmo. Why actually we are referring the pulmo? Why actually we are not taking other names that is mainly representing heart? Means in both the circulation heart is common. So that's why we are taking the pulmo, that's a heart. Hence it is called pulmonary circulation. In the same way, here another circle or circulation, that is heart circulate between the heart, blood circulate between the heart and the body, means system. Hence it is called systemic circulation. Hence it is called what? Systemic circulation. So the first one is pulmonary circulation. Second one is a systemic circulation. So there are two circulation. Hence it is called double circulation. Hence it is called double circulation. The double circulation we're going to observe in the humans. Okay. Now the question arises, why in lower vertebrates we can't going to observe the double circulation? In higher vertebrates only we observe what? Double circulation. The double circulation is a advanced evolutionary feature we observed in advanced vertebrates. Advanced vertebrates only. Okay, means in the fishes, for your for extra information I'm mentioning that in case of fishes we observed only single circulation. In amphibians plus the reptiles, other than the crocodiles, we are not including the crocodiles here, we just take other than the crocodiles, all the reptiles, they show mixed circulation. Mixed circulation means O2 plus CO2 get mixed because there is a partial separation of ventricle we're going to observe. And here the crocodiles plus aves, that is birds, plus mammals. We're going to observe that double circulation. Double circulation. There is no mixing of O2 CO2 blood. No mixing means what? Here double circulation means no mixing of O2 and CO2 blood. Oxygen blood and CO2 blood, they get do not mixed. They do not get mixed at all. Why? Because here you're going to observe that there are four different compartments. Auricle, right auricle, sorry, left auricle, left auricle, le- ventricle, right ventricle, left. Okay, is completely what? There is a segregation of the chambers, so there is no mixing of blood. But in case of amphibians and reptiles, so we're going to observe two auricles, two auricles, that is right and the left, but single ventricle. In case of amphibian is the single uh, what ventricle, but partial separation we observed in reptiles. But here there is mixing of O2 and CO2 plus we're going to observe. Okay, so that's why here heart is efficient. But in case of what about fishes? Fishes, there are only one auricle and one ventricle. Typically, yes, shaped heart we're going to observe. Okay, so here this is a efficient heart. This is efficient heart we're going to observe. Okay, so I think this information may helps you for learning the circulation about in for short notes. I know if you need any information like this, you can comment me and tell me at what time the live has to be live stream you need. Okay.